So, with Battlebots starting filming tomorrow, I thought, and 61 out of the 68 teams that are going to be participating in the show confirmed, I thought we'd take a look at the Battlebots visual list that the mods of the Battlebots subreddit have put together. They've done a really great job year after year, and this is probably the best way to look at all of the competitors prior to the season starting. So here we go, let's get started. Minotaur, yeah. I didn't even know that Daniel Freitas' family had a kid over in 2020. I thought it was Corona why they couldn't come, and they just didn't want to. But congratulations to them. I didn't know that. So that's a really interesting fact. Robotic Death Company and Gigabyte, man, these guys just keep getting better and better. With the addition of Team Plum Crazy and Matt Maxim into the team. Yeah. Oh, and it looks like this year it's going to be driven by Matt Maxim, not just controlling the weapon. So that's pretty cool. Um, Carbide. So Carbide is made by Team Cobalt. They're a British team. They were the champion in 2016 in Robot Wars UK, and I remember that BattleBots update called them British Tombstone because they were a horizontal spinner, much in the same style as Tombstone. They were also called Carbide back then, and Carbide's had some pretty significant redesigns since then, and now we've got a vertical spinner, and it's a pretty nasty one at that. Whiplash, yep, they were the runner-up last year. They're definitely pegged for a deep tournament run this year. They're one of the favorites coming into the competition, obviously just due to them being, or placing second in 2020. Hope to see them show up and kick some butt. This is interesting. Defender. So it looks like Defender's gonna be another entry from Team Fast Electric Robots, which is the Vasquez family's team. So it looks like the Vasquez bros are going to be competing against each other this year, with Jason taking the lead on Defender. Again, also a control bot, much in the Fast Electric Robot style. Yeah, it's a clamper lifter, a grappler. That's pretty cool. Okay, Overhaul. I didn't know they were from Georgia. So Overhaul's going to be coming back finally. The Weabot is painted, I believe Battlebots update called it Hatsune Miku Blue. I don't like anime. But Overhaul, they had a pretty strong 2015 run when they lost to Bite Force in a very close match. They haven't had the same success since then, but this time it looks like they're going to be using bigger, tougher wheels, which I think would help. Yeah, and after so many iterations, you've got to think that they've definitely got the grappler design down. Pardon my French. Not a French team, a Canadian team. I guess they're from Quebec? Yeah, they're from Quebec. The Les Quebecois. I am not too familiar with this team, but it looks like they've got a pretty nasty three-tooth drum spinner as well as a mini-bot. Maybe this is one of those situations where they've got a 220-pound international heavyweight and they slapped a 30-pound mini-bot on it. That's something that a lot of teams did. I think Witch Doctor even did that in 2015. But, yeah. Legion and Sabertooth. So it looks like these guys competed in the Robot Wars UK reboot. And, oh, yeah, that's right. The Robot Wars naming contract has ended. So now teams that competed in Robot Wars will be able to use the names from their original bot on their new robot. I know Carbide, built by Team Cobalt, people have been saying, "Oh, just bring Cobalt to BattleBots," but they couldn't because of that reason. But it looks like they've been sticking with Carbide because the vertical spinner it's just more successful in BattleBots than horizontals have been. Half-fast astronaut. Blacksmith, the New Jersey boys. That is, I didn't realize that they were a team all the way back from 1995. Blacksmith always entertains. You know, they've got the single most watched fight on I think YouTube, and Blacksmith is just a great bot to introduce people into BattleBots with, especially with Minotaur versus Blacksmith, just because it's a flaming hammer, and that's cool. It doesn't have to be good. It's cool. Team Raptor is back. Uh, yeah, Ghost Raptor in the reboots never really performed all that well. I remember in their Bounty Hunters fight, they actually lost a Hypershock because their weapon snapped in half. They got decapitated by Jackpot, set on fire by Shatter, split apart by Son of Waiachi. They just never had any luck in the reboot, but um, yeah, maybe we'll see something cool from them this year. And yes, the home team of BattleBots 2021, Jackpot, you know, they're based in Vegas, and the competition's happening in Vegas. Yes, it was a COVID replacement bot. I guess they were put on the short list for 2020, but then with so many teams dropping out, they got in. Ended up being the 11 seed overall. Lost to Rotator because they had to remove their self writer to put uh, the wedge on. One of the really most interesting things about them is that their entire bot is just made of steel, I think. And so it's really tough, and even though it looks kind of anemic, it's incredibly dense. Alright, so Monsoon, right. They did place top 8 in, I think, 2018. And they've just got a nasty vertical spinner. It looks like they've got a wheel-looking weapon, a disc-looking weapon this year, rather than the asymmetrical bar that they've been running in years past. They hit hard. I most remember their fight with Petunia, where Petunia was like bleeding hydraulic fluid all over the bot, and like stuff was on fire, and it's crazy. And yeah, they're great. Besides Deep Six and like Nightmare, they've got one of the nastiest vertical spinners that's just big for the sake of being big. I like the fact that Shatter is listed as a hammer with strafing drive, just because Shatter's just got so many gimmicks on it. And I don't say gimmicks is a bad thing. I think gimmicks are great, and it's what the sport needs to really be pushed forward. Like they've got the Omni Drive, they've got the Shatter armor, the plastic, or I guess UHMW ultra high molecular weight plastic, as well as a pretty tough pickaxe that was shown to be able to do some real damage when it knocked out Lockjaw in the tournament last year, which is pretty cool. Switchback, look at this. This is kind of cool. Texas. Um, Man, that is a strange looking weapon. I have no idea what to think about this guy. Um, I guess the weapon looks really heavy, and it's on like a really long arm. So I guess it could be used as either, it looks like you can put it down on the ground and just use it as a normal vertical spinner. You can hit overhead, and it looks like it's got some pretty tough armor as well. Um, I'm excited to see what I'm really excited to see what these guys bring. It's a unique design, and like I said before, that's what BattleBots really needs. Seems reasonable robotics and tantrum. Yes, they made the top 4 in 2020. They like to call him the most improved bot. And taking out Sawblaze, I think, was their real test this past year, especially because they're kind of vulnerable from the top because their weapon array is so exposed. But I made a joke last year, a meme last year about uh, Tantrum practicing their driving while all I was doing was playing Mario Kart. I'll still beat you in Mario Kart if anyone just wants to challenge me. But yeah, apparently he was sparring with Hal Rucker and Duck basically throughout the entirety of lockdown, and it really shows. He outdrove Jameson Go in Sawblaze, which driving against a control bot without even using wedgelets, that's impressive. All right, so Blip is a rotary flipper. I have no idea what that means. I think that's like, is that like mammoth, a rotary flipper? Yes, I know this one as Moonshot. Never mind. Um, so I guess they're allowing a lot more teams to field multiple bots with fast electric robots and seems reasonable. I thought they said that they weren't gonna bring Moonshot, but I guess that was because they were renaming it Blip. I think Moonshot's a cooler name, but maybe they've got some cool design that we just haven't heard about yet, just because there's not a whole lot we know about this guy so far. Ah, yes, Tombstone. You've gotta have Tombstone. And of course they're coming back. Of course they're gonna hit hard. Of course they're gonna make anyone crap their pants if they're matched against them. And I guarantee they're fighting Hydra this year. Alright, G3 Robotics. I did not realize that was the name of their team. But, you know, Sawblaze always performs well after they got uh, after their one bad JD against Razorback in 2016, they've never let up and they've just kept on improving. That was really shown in their 2020 match with Witch Doctor, which was a rematch that most people, including myself, were expecting Witch Doctor to win. But, you know, I guess Jameson Go also used Lockdown to practice driving, maybe. And it really shows because he's got a really well-made bot. It's got very few weaknesses, except for, you know, getting punched in the side so hard that it violently explodes. But, yeah. Oh, it looks like Shredderator's going to be coming back too. Yeah, Shredderator really has struggled in years past. I think their only wins this year were against Axe Backwards and um who was it? In Bounty Hunters. Sharkoprium. No, not Sharkoprium. Sharko in Bounty Hunters. So they really haven't had much success lately. It looks like, I'm not sure how it's going to be with Brian Nave saying that he's downgraded the bot back to when they were spinning and winning. Maybe they've upgraded it back again. It looks like they've got new, better plastic top armor. Hopefully the captain works a little better this year. And Gruff. So Gruff was really weird last year. Like, they just didn't fix their lifting forks for a main event fight against Whiplash, which was, it just came off as odd. But, you know, they went 1 and I want to say 4 in the regular season. No, 1 and 3. They lost to, yeah, their only win was against Hypershock. They lost to Bloodsport in the round of 32. They had a rough run last year with some people even saying that P1 should have gotten their spot in the tournament, but hopefully that they've really gotten their drive system functioning this year, because that was what was giving them the most trouble last year, especially in their fight against Extinguisher. They did win the Tombstone bounty bracket, but they did end up losing to Tombstone, so I guess now they're 0-2 against Tombstone. And being that Gruff is meant to be the robot that can take a hit and keep on going, yeah, they've definitely got some stuff to. They've definitely seen their issues in 2020, and they know what they have to fix for 2021. And yeah, this is pretty cool. Kraken did beat Witch Doctor in 2020. That was a really impressive fight, good control fight. It could be said that Witch Doctor probably would have won, and they probably would have won if their weapon hadn't shattered. But they did have their best ever year in 2020, and they did lose to Rusty. That was a very funny match, honestly. Yeah, I think they lost to Sawblaze. Honestly, that wasn't a fight that they were gonna win just because Sawblaze has the perfect angle to absolutely annihilate their weapon. But they've really improved the Crusher, and it's got like, what, 10,000 pounds of crushing force now? That's like insane. Alright, so Team Malice. They're not exactly a rookie, per se, because Bunny Sorio has been building bots for a long time. She was on Team Shatter, now she's built her own team. And I remember seeing a redesign of Malice that was supposed to be longer and less wide. but it looks like they've kept the old design. One thing I do like that they've changed is that, look at the wheels. They're using solid wheels instead of Swiss cheese wheels like before, so they definitely cut some weight out somewhere else, or maybe they're just using different type of wheels that weigh the same amount. They did have a very impressive run in Bounty Hunters. They took out Huge, which is kind of crazy because they beat Huge without any gimmicks, just attacking and defending. So it's well armored. It's got plenty of damage output. They did lose to Gigabyte in the first round of the tournament. Yeah, because the weapon kept deflecting upwards and they disabled a wheel. Ooh. Okay, so Team Orbi Blade, they're from Korea. This is pretty cool. So, this is I want to say the first Korean team competing in the Battlebots reboot. I don't remember any others, and it looks like they've got a pretty nasty uh, horizontal spinner, kind of like Tombstone, but their chassis is also very small, and it looks like they're going for a bot with very long reach. So I'm excited to see this thing tear some stuff apart this year. All right, Team Doom and Perfect Phoenix. So this is probably gonna be a mostly rebuilt Perfect Phoenix in 2021. Yeah, Perfect Phoenix used to be called Brutality, but Brutality hadn't been upgraded all that much between 2009 and 2020, besides the armor, or like improving the armor. So, and as well, it was very light. It was like, I want to say around 220 pounds, especially when they were running the lighter bars. So if they've made the necessary adjustments and upgrades to Perfect Phoenix to really bring it into the 2021 meta, I think we can see some really cool, nasty hits from these guys. Alright, Busted Nuts and Witch Doctor. They did have the number 2 seed and the second place finish in 2019. They did lose in the round of 16 in 2020. But they did end up winning their bounty fight, and I gotta say, that was one of the coolest bounty fights, I think, in the whole season, besides maybe Gigabyte versus Sanawayachi. It absolutely destroyed Sub-Zero and sniped Spitfire with, like, a piece of a wheel or something. That was just so funny. Personally, I want to see them fight Malice, like we all thought was going to happen. I think that's a match that's due to happen this season. I had no idea that Rampage was returning. That one comes as a surprise to me. Yeah, they're a family team. I think they got torn apart by Fusion and Bounty Hunters, so hopefully they've made some upgrades. It looks like they're running a 4-wheel drive rather than just 2 wheels, and they've got some real armor on the front as well, because that's where they lost last year. They had a pretty brittle front end that got torn apart by Fusion. And so it looks like they've still got those 2 forks bolted on. That's, I guess, their signature style. Duck. Yeah, Duck has a totally new design. Wow, it hasn't reached the top 16. I always feel like Duck is a bot that's done really well, but maybe that's just me misremembering, and I watched a whole lot of Duck when it was named Whoops. In other events, and they've beaten Tombstone before. I think they've beaten Minotaur before. I mean, not Tombstone and Minotaur specifically, but Last Rites and Toro Maximus, which are the bots that Hardcore Robotics and Riobots run in 220-pound events. So it looks like Special Delivery is just Team Special Delivery and free shipping. They're kind of just edging closer and closer to just being Original Sin. Yeah, Original Sin's one of the best heavyweight robots of all time, and I remember back in, I think, 2018 when they brought free shipping, it was literally just Original Sin with a forklift and flamethrower taped on top of it. It looks like the flamethrower isn't mounted to the lifter this time, but honestly, did it have to be? I know that free shipping or Original Sin beat Whiplash in a Robo Games finale. in the championship match. So I want to see that rematch, just a real technical driving battle between two control bots. That would be really cool. Hijinx is back. I guess we haven't seen much of their design this year. They got obliterated by Uppercut in the first round of the tournament, but their weapon looks nasty. If they can make it just hit super hard, kind of like they did against Chomp, they swept the leg and kicked out their kneecaps, and Chomp was left a cripple for the rest of the show. Gosh, that sounded horrible. Riptide. I am not totally familiar with this team. It looks like they've been winning at Norwalk Havoc, and they'll be assisted by Team Yeti's Greg Gibson. That's pretty cool. I thought Greg Gibson and Yeti were returning, but I guess we can see that a little bit later. Because I don't, or maybe Yeti's been given over to C2 and Christian Carbide. We'll get to that later. Endgame, yes, they are the champion, starting off as the number 5 seed and ending up the tournament by beating Whiplash. They out of the arena Tombstone. Not sure if you can do that anymore with the shelf, but 7-1, only lost to Bloodsport. Bloodsport's a pretty nasty robot, and it seemed that they cashed in on their mulligan early in the tournament, and it really paid off for them because they didn't have many of the reliability issues that we've seen from Endgame in the past. All right, P1. Okay, as the only front-hinged lifter in the tournament now that Stinger is gone, or Sewer Snake and Stinger is gone, they 3-2. I don't remember what their other fights were. I remember they did beat Kronos in a really, honestly boring fight. They lost to Copperhead, and then beat Smee in a really, really entertaining match. Hopefully they can do a little better this year. It looks like they've got a wider front end with a tougher wedge. And if Brandon Zielinski can really get his driving down, I don't want to keep comparing it to Stinger, but like Stinger and Team Plum Crazy, they've been running one of the most successful front-hinged flippers in the sport. And so you've really got to tap into some of that control to make this kind of design really work. Dragon Slayer, Wildside Robotics. I'm not familiar with this team either. It looks like they were rejected from 2020. And Two-Wheel Vert. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. Hope to see them perform this year. Team XD. They did win a bounty bracket by using literal voodoo magic. They ended up beating Valkyrie, which was pretty awesome. Logan Davis has really shown off his reckless driving style, and he really goes all out whenever he's in a fight. And they're a really fun team to watch. Questionable Designs and Valkyrie. They're from Massachusetts. Yep, 2020, they got their season shut down after 2 losses to Whiplash, which kind of sucks. But, and they did end up losing their bounty bracket to Sub-Zero. They did, however, have one of the best fights of the entire season against Rotator, managing to pick apart one of the best defended robots in the tournament. They're a team to watch. Team Shred It, bro. Alright. So they are the ones... Pain Train. Yeah, they're the ones that probably would have won the best Meth Mouth giant washer if that was still happening this year after all of when their weapon fell out of their mouth in their fight against Smee. That's what everyone remembers them for, but there's some other really cool design things about this bot. It's built entirely of AR steel. Like, the entire thing is steel, weapon to frame. It's tiny, super heavy, and theoretically super durable. If they could get the drive system to work without slipping around everywhere, they could deliver some massive hits. All right, bots and stuff. 6-2. Yeah, Bloodsport had a really impressive 2020 after losing a play in Rumble in 2019. 6-2. That's really cool. Who did they lose to this year? They beat Gruff and then ended up losing to Tantrum. So ultimately, really great team, and they're one to watch this year just because of how devastating their horizontal spinner is, and you can tell that it's a team really designed by engineering students, because every bit of the bot has a purpose, like from the curved self-righting arm to the square shape and the hinge wedgelets on the front with the wheels in the back. It's really, really well built. This one's cool. Retrograde. It's a 2-weapon design. I'm not sure, because dual weapons have historically never had all that much success in Battlebots unless your name is Whiplash. And especially with one of them being a grappler, not just a lifter, and a horizontal spinner, and it doesn't look like it looks like there's a lot of real estate to hit, but honestly, I love seeing cool designs. I love seeing new designs, and the Bots and Stuff team has shown off that they can build really excellent robots. I'm excited to see them. Apparently, these guys brought an actual snake to the competition. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, wow. Zach Goff is no longer on the team. And Robert Cohen is going to be starting this season. I remember Robert Cohen. He piloted the bot in their bounty hunter tournament fight against Rusty, which they did end up winning after a scare in the beginning where Rusty jammed the hammer right into the weapon mechanism. That was exciting. They can hit hard. They're compact and tough. It's gonna be a great season for them. Scorpios. Yeah, they really keep getting more and more intense every year. They did make the tournament, lost to Witch Doctor in the first round, I think, but they did manage to knock out Tombstone after, I think, ripping one of its wheels off. And they've shown that they're not just a defensively built bot, they can also deliver some great hits as well. Yeah, they knocked out Perfect Phoenix too. SME, Team Flight Plan. Yes, the team listed on Facebook as a hot air balloon tour agency. They're long. They're 14 feet wide. And it's one of those designs that really worked in the tiny weight classes, but they have struggled a little bit in the higher weight classes with losses to Pain Train and P1, even after Pain Train's teeth all fell out. Though I love the design, it's kind of unfortunate that they don't have a articulated clamping mechanism to move the different segments of the snake around independently, but I think they've said that would just be too fragile and would probably break after the first hit, so we'll see what they got this year. Team Bonks. A vertical spinner with Omni wheels. That's pretty cool. Another team with Omni wheels. They ran Reality a couple seasons ago. I didn't realize that. They're Dutch. Cool. European teams. Hopefully the corona can calm the frick down and let us have our Battlebots for once. Team Warrior and Black Dragon. Yes, they're back. They knocked out Tombstone, or knocked him out of the tournament, I think, with the judge's decision. They did end up beating Ribbot while their entire bot was on fire, and eventually ended up losing to Whiplash in the semifinals. So, of course, deep tournament run. They were the Brazilian team to watch after Minotaur didn't enter 2020, as well as having beaten Minotaur before in the Despacito tournament a couple years ago. Icewave is competing. Yes. Icewave is the team that originally got me into Battlebots along with Sanawayachi. And I just want to see them tear things apart again. Like, I want to see them bludgeon Razorback out of this plane of existence. Yeah, they lost their bounty to Scorpios, but they've still got the ability to make some unreasonably insane hits. Ah, yes, the Wisconsin Homeboys and Team Waiachi. One thing that I heard from Jake Ewert when I saw him was that in 2020, if you watch all of Hydra's fights chronologically, one after another, you'll notice that the flips get lower and lower, and that's because little metal chips were accumulating in the hydraulics mechanism, which was like slowing it down or something. I'm not entirely sure, but supposedly they fixed that for this year, and the robot has thrown a 250-pound test weight the entire height of the battle box. So we could literally see someone hit the ceiling. I am excited. Oh wow, the the forks just keep getting longer, don't they? Yeah, like that was a really weird thing last year where the top 8, like the forks just kept getting longer. And then eventually Endgame versus Shatter just made them ridiculously long to get underneath Shatter's magnet wheels or whatever. And it looks like Extinguisher has done that as well. They've got 5 unique configurations. That doesn't mean they've got 5 different weapons, it's just a hammer and vert, but it looks like they've got unique configurations with the wedgelets and such. Lucky is back! Yay! So yeah, Lucky, I don't think they've made the tournament in any season they've been in. I think they were in like 2016 and 2018. They're Canadian team, and they originally wanted to name it, and I think their original name for it was Team Lucky Kanucky. That's fun. Slammo, without the W, they've changed the color scheme to make it look like it's something that should be viewed with red and blue 3D glasses, as well as doing a little fusion dance with the Chaos Core, which is Team Bombshell. And yeah, with a lot of teams have proven that if you combine 2 teams into one, you've got a whole lot more expertise and a lot more hands to work on your robot. And with Slammo finally making the tournament in 2020, with some improvements to the robot, I can really see this being a powerful control bot. Uppercut is awesome. They are one of the strongest vertical spinners in the whole competition, and Alex Hattori wanted to make a funny robot with a weapon that looks like a dildo, but ended up accidentally creating a monster. They weren't able to upgrade the bot fully because the bot was stuck at school while they were all at home quarantining or whatever last spring. 2 springs ago. Oh gosh, it's been so long. I'm having an existential crisis, but since the MIT gang has been back at school, hopefully they've been able to make the necessary upgrades they were planning before Corona decided to crap all over our fun. The former biggest bot, Huge, yeah, they had some sus judges' decisions, but had some pretty decisive wins over, who was it? Oh gosh, I'm blanking out on it. Oh, they beat Kraken. Totally blew up its head. Really fun. They did lose to Malice in the Bounty fight and Whiplash in the tournament. But, of course, you can never underestimate Huge because you've got to have a plan against them. And their weapon is nothing to scoff at. All right, C2 Robotics and Christian and Carissa Carlberg. Um, I know that the thing that the fandom knows these guys for is Carissa yelling at her dad while Overhaul's getting its butt kicked by Witch Doctor. But, you know, they've built champions in the past, Minion and such, and a previous picture of them with Greg Gibson and Yeti is leading us to believe that uh, C2 Robotics is going to be picking up Yeti for the entire competition, and they're going to be running an upgraded Yeti. Yeti hits hard. It's got lifters for some reason, even though it's definitely not driven like a control bot. But this year's Yeti is looking better than ever, and it's definitely a far cry from 2016, where they were one of the backup bots that had to borrow wheels from Bronco. Rotators back. They're no longer symmetrical. They only run one spinner, and it's now officially an undercutter. But even though it's a horizontal spinner, they're one of the best armored robots in the competition. They were able to hold up to Tombstone using an angled titanium plow. And they were knocked out by, I think, Endgame. But they've always put on some really entertaining fights, especially their fight with Valkyrie, which they eventually did lose. But holding up to an entire 3 minutes of full force hits from Valkyrie is definitely an impressive feat. Shenanigans & Co. with Hypershock. Hopefully they finish their robot this time. Yeah, they sold an entire Hypershock for like $70,000 on their website. I have no idea if anyone actually bought it. And they sold like LED signs for like $6,000 or something like that. And they also have underwear. So go buy their merch. Deep Six, built by former Navy SEALs, I believe. Yeah, they usually end up deep sixing themselves. And their weapon is able to self-right them this year, which is very, I guess, better for them, because now their fight isn't over if they land on their side one time. Robo Jim? Yes. So the bot has now been upgraded from a straight-up lifter to a grappler. So, and yeah, hopefully they can really deadlift some bots this year. Big Dill's back. They look slightly different. Not just like Warhawk, but with a lifter. And Team Food Fight. They said that they're one of the teams that just really likes to do it for the fans. They want to be kid-friendly. And it looks like for their wedge, they've made some changes to the wedge, because last year they got ripped apart by Gigabyte. And so it's got angles on the inside of the wedge as well as the outside this time. Glitch. I don't know much about this one, but it's made by UC Berkeley students. So, you know, these definitely some smart guys. You know, you've got WPI, you've got MIT, and now you've got UC Berkeley. Oh boy. Jaeger. This doesn't look like Pacific Rim at all. Yeah, so Team Jaeger, they've got, it's a cluster bot. They've never really performed all that well in Battlebots. Going all the way back to like the Four Horsemen and the Creepy Crawlies. But I think what they do is they run 2 of the 3. Each one is 125 pounds, so they pick 2 of them. Interesting concept. We'll see how it plays out for them. All right, Ribbot. They had to lose the foam because it was a nightmare to clean up, but they've got the horizontal spinner and vertical spinner. It's just a all-around well-made robot, and they've got a Game Shark that they use to check their weapon systems in real time during a fight, so they know if they're about to overheat, if they're losing power to any of their motors. Smart team. It's a smart bot made by a bunch of smart guys. Bad Kitty. They're coming back. So, Lifter. Lifter, Flamethrower. I'm not. Is this team related to the bad kitty that was in the preseason play-ins in 2016? Someone answer me that. Yeah, they did have a perfect regular season before losing to Tombstone, and it looks like they don't have a vertical this time. Oh no, they do have a vertical. Vertical spinner, lifter, flamethrower. Yeah, no hammer though. Huh. Interesting. I mean, the hammer was never gonna win many fights anyways because hammers like typically, especially hammers that are modular, don't really tend to win a whole lot of damage points. You know, with bombshell, ultimate destructo, extinguisher. But Mad Catter's always been a vertical spinner bot, and that's its bread and butter. And Mammoth, it's got a 6-foot lifter. It's massive. What else do you want from a bot called Mammoth? It looks like they're bringing back the plastic weapon from last year, and maybe they made it a little tougher so that it doesn't bend when they pick stuff up. But they did have a pretty impressive run last year. They knocked out the number 3 seed Copperhead out of the tournament and ended up losing to Shatter in an incredibly close fight where the deciding factor was probably a wheel that fell off the bot after the fight ended. Very interesting. So these are all the teams that have been confirmed to be participating in Battlebots 2021 so far. There are at least 7 robots left. We have no idea what they are. But I'm excited to see what this season holds come this fall and winter.